Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Raymond Skinner and I'm chairperson of the Board of Commissioners for the DC Housing Authority, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular monthly meeting of the District of Columbia Housing Authority being held today, February 11th, 2026. This meeting is being held via Zoom video conferencing, and some of the board members are here in person. The time is now 1:02 p.m. So to get started, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to allow for personal reflection. Thank you. So as usual, we've invited members of the public to sign up to speak via our website, but the Board of Commissioners also welcomes input on matters of public concern and offers an opportunity to express their views during the public testimony portion of this meeting. However, we require that members of the public who attend our meetings abide by certain rules of decorum to allow the board to complete its business. For this virtual meeting, DCHA asks that you remain muted until you are instructed to speak. Members of the public cannot engage in any disruptive conduct or loud, threatening, or abusive language during our board meetings. This includes any loud outbursts or shouting during times when you have not been asked to speak. Anyone who violates these rules will be removed from this virtual meeting. Serious or repeated violations of the rules may result in your being barred from speaking at future meetings. But we really do appreciate your interest in the issues before us today, and I want to thank you in advance for abiding by these rules of conduct. So this is our first meeting since December and first meeting of the new year of 2026. So for the record, I want to acknowledge that we are operating under a new law, the Rental Act, which went into effect the end of December of 2025. So we are no longer the Star Board. Going forward, the Board of Commissioners will consist of 9 members, 7 appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the council, and 2 resident commissioners who are elected by their fellow residents. In the interim, we will continue to operate and function with the current commissioners who are in place until they are either reappointed or replaced, and the election is held for the resident commissioners. So at this point, we're operating with 8 commissioners, and also just to mention that Commissioner Clay, under the new legislation, is a non-voting member. So stay tuned. So you'll be seeing changes over the next couple of months. There may be some changes in the composition and makeup of the board. So this time, given that at this time, I'd like to ask for a roll call vote to determine a quorum.
Sure. Denise Blackson.
Present.
Thank you. Rosa Burbridge.
Present.
Thank you. Leroy Clay.
Present.
Thank you. Jim Dickerson.
Present.
Thank you. Ronnie Harris.
Present.
Thank you. Chris Murphy.
Present.
Thank you. Jennifer Reed. Teresa Silla.
Present.
Thank you. And Chairman Raymond Skinner.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you, commissioners. So this time, I'd like for us to consider the minutes of the December 10th, 2025 board meetings. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If none, can I get a motion to approve the minutes for December 10th?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The minutes are approved as presented. So next, we're going to have the report from our executive director, Keith Pettigrew. Keith is not in person today. Actually, he's virtual. So, Keith, are you there?
Can you see me? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Can
But
you
we
see
can't,
me too?
no, we can't see you, but we can hear you.
Oh, I got my picture up. What's going on? That's weird.
I can see you, Keith.
Oh, okay.
I can see you.
as well.
Thank you,
There you
Commissioner
go.
Blackson. Thank you.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay, there you are.
So
We can see you. Okay.
yeah. All right. So Happy New Year for those who I haven't seen. All right. We started the 6 weeks have been extremely busy 6 weeks, I think, for all of us, given the circumstances. But I first want to start off by talking about the snow removal. I know several residents had expressed their frustration with the snow removal at the properties. And, you know, we try to be as accountable as possible, but also wanted to just acknowledge the fact that this was a very unique storm, and not to make excuses. And sometimes, you know, we get affected by it too because we're individuals and that kind of stuff. So I just want to apologize in advance, but because some of the properties weren't cleaned out the way they probably should have been, and we're looking to do better going forward. But let's just hope and pray that we don't have any more snow this year. So, but I just wanted to touch on that because I know some folks had issues with the snow removal and the ice in general. But I think obviously, as you saw, the city had a problem with it as well. So, but we sort of piggyback off of them a little bit. So, in terms of operations, utilization pretty much remaining steady. We're about 102% on the voucher side. And again, as the year goes on, that'll trend back down a little bit through attrition as we planned. But it's good to know that we've leased up so many vouchers uh, in a way. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in my presentation. Also, on the public housing side, it's pretty much standing pat right now. I know that folks are waiting for the ACOP to be approved so that way we can start really talking about the site-based wait list going forward, in conjunction with obviously the IRB bond deals and work that's going to be going on. And so I want to pivot to that right now. We have agreed for 6 properties and four fee developers. So the ball is moving. We're going to be coming back to the board as well as the subcommittee on capital projects with a more defined and revised schedule. Obviously, I mean, we lost a lot of time during the shutdown toward the end of the year last year, and then just picking things back up with HUD going forward. So I'm glad that we've now started to get these agreements in place so we can start to talk with these fee developers with regard to what the schedule is going to look like, what the plans are. I know we've still been meeting with resident leaders, and so hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll be able to come back with more defined information to help you all understand what the schedule is. But we're going to be sharing that with the capital project subcommittee as well in a couple of weeks prior to the next board meeting. But things are moving, albeit slower than we probably wanted it to do, but we're getting there. So the next topic I want to touch.
Keith,
Yes,
could you,
yes.
Keith, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the numbers that you did about what's in the pipeline here with?
So there are 19 properties that are part of the bond deal, but the first tranche are 9 properties. Claridge, Hopkins, James Apartments, Fort Lincoln, Sibley, Syfax, Knox Hill, Lincoln Heights, and James Creek.
Thank you.
So far out of those 9, the 6 that have been agreed upon with the fee developers are Claridge, Hopkins, James, Fort Lincoln, Sibley, and Syfax so far. We're still working on the other 3. We're close on the other 3. And just for the free information with James Creek, we should get there relatively soon. The Knox Hill group, they tried to change the terms of the RFP, and we told them thanks, but no thanks. So we're going to be moving on to find someone else to look at Knox Hill, just so you know.
Great. Thank you.
So we still have not received our budget from HUD. And so over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to various EDs and CEOs around the country, and everybody's showing that there are going to be budget cuts. How much, we just don't know yet because we haven't gotten our budget. The one thing we do know is that I received a letter from Assistant Secretary Ben Hobbs that says that our inflation factor for this year is 0. Now, just to give you some context, over the last 5 or 6 years, DCHA has averaged an inflation factor increase of at least 6%. Last year, they gave us 12%. And if you all remember from the very beginning, I'm going to take it back to bedrock now. When we first started, HUD, everyone in the world was telling us lease up, lease up, lease up, lease up, lease up. Spend your reserves or we're going to take them. And so I think the team has done an incredible job under the circumstances. We're at 100% on the voucher side. We're about 85% on the public housing side in terms of unit turns, which we had to get done as well based on the report. So we're kind of baffled about the zero inflation factor. I will say this. Several other housing authorities have gotten zero inflation factors as well, which they're scratching their heads about too. So perfect example. Some of you all remember Nona Eath, who used to work for us. She runs the Kansas City Housing Authority. Nona's zero inflation factor was a zero as well. She was a little bothered by it. And on top of that, she's received some information on her budget, and they've hit her for a 4% reduction. So I say all that to say that, you know, at this point, not knowing what our budget is going to be from HUD, but knowing that there's certain indicators that we can look at and sort of gauge, we're going to start to look to do some spending reduction throughout the entire agency. Everything's going to be on the table because we can't wait and find out that it's worse. We have to start looking at things now. So we're going to be coming back to the board to lay out a plan to talk about various aspects and what we got relatively soon. And then we'll move from there to start to do some things that we need to do. Perfect example is one of the things we've already done that Secretary Hobbs had mentioned in another letter was, you know, you might want to pause rents right now. You know, so there's things like that that can have an immediate impact until we know what type of funding we're going to get. So, but it appears that this administration now is cutting back funds on affordable housing, whether it be vouchers or whether it be public housing side of the house. So with that,
Keith,
huh?
can
Yeah.
I ask you a question? We discussed this with the development committee and whether to go forth with the development as we have or not, because of the funding potential for funding cuts, rather go to the private market to get money to help us develop. Has any more discussion on that?
Well, yeah, we have, and remember, we're going to come back to the subcommittee and talk to you guys about various options that we believe are on the table.
Okay.
Just so you know, so we're going to come back to you guys with sort of a comprehensive process about everything that's on the table. So nothing's off the table at this point, Commissioner. Nothing's off the table. So,
Okay. Thank you.
any other questions?
Director, I was just going to say, any thoughts on how we sort of keep the staff looped in as appropriately and as best we can at obviously a very difficult moment?
Yeah. So we've been working with Allison behind the scenes to start the messaging, right, about where we are and what we're going to do, and then we'll convene a meeting with department heads in order to be able to convey the fact that. But the good thing too, Commissioner Murphy, is that, you know, I've been talking to various directors, particularly ones that have been affected. You know, so the word spreads. So
Yep.
well, they'll learn about that place. There's no secrets in that place. So but there will be a more formal session to talk about where we are in the next couple of weeks.
Great.
Commissioner Silla.
Thank you. I think in addition to communication with staff, it is really important to think about communication with us and the board. This was a part of the discussion that we had at the Committee on Operations and Administrative Services. But I think it's relevant here and thinking about the sorts of changes or the sorts of updates that you might have to make to your programs, the kinds of services that you can offer as you absorb this conversation about federal cuts and what your ultimate budget is going to be, what you're going to end up with. So over the holidays, there was a change in the policies around deposits, security deposits, and the kinds of assistance that the Housing Authority offers people that are making moves. It's for me and my constituents, even though that's a small dollar amount, that security deposit, that makes a huge difference. And I was hearing about that update from constituents that were confused and angered and trying to figure out like how to make ends meet when they received that update and information. So I just wanted to like make sure to amplify to you and your team that it's not fair as a board member to be finding out about these significant challenges that you're having and the sorts of actions that you have to take to make things work on your end. You know, thinking about it now and learning more about what you are navigating, I think I would have been on board and supportive, like that this was a decision that you had to make and of, you know, we're at a time when we're making really difficult decisions, sometimes decisions we don't even want to be. So I just want to encourage you and your team to be thinking about how you are interacting and updating us so that we're not hearing about these things from other people, but rather we are hearing about them directly from you and upfront.
Yep. Yep. No, and I agree, Commissioner Steele, and I apologize that no one got to you with regard to that. And I did have a conversation with one of my staff members about the fact that you weren't made aware when you found out you weren't pleased, which I can understand. So, but going forward, because we got to come up with a plan, and a comprehensive plan, right? And so you guys will be informed. I know we have an education session coming up, and we're going to lay some things out for you. So, and going forward with the subcommittee meetings, you know, this will probably be agenda item number one.
Just so you know how fast word travels, I heard the same thing on Monday evening. And I said, somebody told me, and I said, oh, I didn't know that. It was a little awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
And I learned on social media as well.
Social media.
Yep. Old post with a debate going back and forth about.
Jesus.
I wasn't in a debate.
All right. Well, I think that's enough. That's all I have, unless you have any more questions.
Any questions from any of the other commissioners? I think we, as the board, look forward to that session where we'll get a much deeper dive into the budget situation and where we are. And of course, we all hear the news and we know there have been cuts across the board in the federal budget, particularly at HUD. And I read somewhere HUD has lost maybe 25% of its staff. So that's not going to help us going forward, particularly with the development projects, which all have to get approved by HUD. And we want to make sure that there's still people there who can provide us with the approvals that we need going forward.
Yeah, and just so you know, I reached out to a couple of friends there, and because I really want to appeal the inflation factor decision. And so our field office rep, Laura Davis, she was like, they don't even talk to us. So she says like this huge vacuum. But a good friend of mine who used to work at HUD, he reached out to the office, so he's trying to find. I'm sorry.
I'm saying you said they don't even talk to you. They being the political appointees versus.
Yeah, she said they can't even reach them. I mean, Nicole and Amy on these calls with us every week, and they're like, it's like this huge vacuum there. But I'm trying to find an avenue to appeal the inflation factor decision. So just so you know.
Okay. All right. So that's your report?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you, Director Pettigrew. Okay. Next on the agenda is our public testimony. We'll have resident testimony first, and then other public testimony. And this comment period allows the people testifying to talk about any issues that they wish, provided we ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. Now, I know in the past, a lot of people have complained that 3 minutes is not enough, but again, remember, particularly today, we have a lot of people who've signed up to testify. So we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to be heard. So please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. The first resident signed up is Frida Barnes. And as a reminder, *6 to unmute yourself. And please accept any promotion requests that might be sent to your device. Frida Barnes. I'm going to move forward. Next, we have Carmelo Etienne, or Etienne. I'm sorry about that.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good morning. I was here in December voicing my concern. I was placed to get this on the right foot is this is about gross negligence of DCHA and its inspectors and also different parts of the agency. I'm 100% disabled with a brain tumor, respiratory issues. My doctor informed me that I'm dying. And we have an inspector by the name of B. Hodges that passed the property inspection back in July. We signed the lease late July into August, and by September we finally move in. In September, when we realized there was mold, there was rats, there wasn't a strike plate in the door, some doors was off of hinges. The house was staged by the property manager and landlord. It's a private property. It is not a DCHA property. And in December, y'all said y'all would reach out back to me. But since then, the matter got worse. DOEE came out and found lead in that same home. DCHA did a second inspection in November. It didn't pass inspection. And again, y'all stopped payment. In that same November, the building department came and the place took over $20,000 in fines. By December, we found out about the lead. Then a mold company came out and did mold inspection. There's 7 times the legal limit permitted inside the home with mold. And then again, I have a 6-year-old child that lives inside that same home. My health been depleting. Yeah, I never reached out. Then it proceed to when it's time for us to get a voucher, it's switched over to go to Virginia Williams for shelter. We was run around by T Gary. Ty Gary, that's his email is T Gary. Then we was forced to eat canned food. The house don't have a stove in it or a working refrigerator that we spent 3 months eating up whatever little savings we did have. So the gross negligence come to this past February. Right now we're in February. On the 2nd, the same property flooded when we just signed the lease on the 22nd, trying to get our stuff out. The snowstorm just came in. And so we haven't been able to put a moving truck and get what we can out of there. And with the snowstorm, now it's flooded. We just lost all of our property. And then you have Miss Gigi Bilal, is always the mediator that act as if she wants to call to know what I'm about to talk about in this meeting. So like I said last time, this is where I'm drawing the line, and I will be reaching out to your risk management and turning this to a legal matter because I could see nobody really cares or concerned. This is an organization. It's not a government entity. Everybody's here for their own personal profit. And that's what y'all discuss on these meetings: properties, money, and how y'all going to make more money while depleting people that is in dire need. Thank you. That's my time.
Thank you. And I'm really sorry to hear about your situation, and the board will make sure that the staff follows up and contacts you. I'm not sure what we can do, but at least we will make sure that someone contacts you. Thank you.
Next, we have Sophia Delisma. Sophia Delisma, believe we sent you a promotion request. And *6 as a reminder to unmute. Mr. Leesma, you have 3 minutes if you want to start your testimony.
See, your hand is raised. So,
Yeah, I see
It
that.
is.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
okay,
Okay,
yes. Okay.
awesome. All right. Good evening. My name is Sophia Talisma Etienne. I'm a housing choice voucher participant. I'm here today to formally put on the record a pattern of negligence, retaliation, and failure of oversight by DCHA that has directly resulted in severe harm to me and my family. From the beginning of my tenancy, DCHA failed to assign me a housing specialist in a timely manner. That initial failure was the catalyst for everything that followed. With proper oversight or case management, Without proper oversight or case management, I was left to navigate serious housing safety concerns alone. The unit that DCHA approved passed inspection despite serious habitability issues. The building since has been found to contain mold levels exceeding legal limits, lead hazards, and structural defects. Most recently, on February 2nd, 2026, a catastrophic flood occurred due to building mismanagement and code failures. I nearly lost all of my belongings, and that same flood could have cost me and my family our lives due to electrocution. It's that serious. Had DCHA's inspector performed their duty independently and thoroughly, the unit should have never have been passed in the first place. Additionally, I experienced retaliation and privacy violations. My address has been shared without my consent with that former landlord and property management. Following that disclosure, the property manager has engaged in criminal conduct, including the destruction of my security camera and aggressive confrontation outside of the home. Forceful entry. Self-help eviction is what she was trying to do. Okay? And that's against the law in DC. Instead of addressing these concerns directly, Miss Gigi Bilal stated that she would follow up with me, but she didn't. I was later told that my issues were resolved after she allegedly contacted my housing specialist. My issues are not resolved. DCHA has a duty of care to voucher holders. That duty includes inspections, oversight of participating landlords, protection of participants' privacy, and a timely assignment of case management. The pattern in my case reflects failure of inspection oversight, failure to assign case management, improper disclosure of private information, retaliatory conduct, and a breakdown in participant protection. Excuse me. This is not simply a tenant landlord dispute. This is a systemic oversight failure. I'm requesting a formal investigation into the inspection approval of that property, an audit of my case history, including the delay in assigning a housing specialist, a review of internal policies regarding privacy and participant data sharing, written confirmation of what corrective actions DCHA intends to take. I'm placing this on the record tonight because this cannot continue to happen to voucher holders. Thank you. And I'm also asking this board to determine whether DCHA is operating as a housing authority focused on the safety and compliance or merely as a rent pass-through agency without participant protection.
Thank you for your comments. And again, I'm really sorry to hear what you had to go through.
Next, we have Billy Andrews. Once again, Billy Andrews. I'm going to move forward. Next, we have Aquarius Vangasari. And as a reminder, *6 to unmute yourself, and please accept the promotion request that we're sending. Aquarius Vangasari. Next, we'll call on, I believe this is Dr. Malaya Assad. And I see that you had a hand raised. Star 6 to unmute yourself, and please accept our promotion request.
Can you hear me?
We can.
And
You have
Hi.
3 minutes.
Yes. Well, basically, I did come to put forth stuff that were happening with my apartment and other apartments, but DCHA did help and help us to facilitate how to correct these matters. A lot of things I had to do on my own. But I really wanted to um, address something that the the director said, who was talking earlier. And I wanted to just, because now my stuff is on, I don't think my stuff is that important to bring up right now. I think what you're talking about, by not being able to um, know what the budget is and what HUD is doing, and how you guys are not being able to know certain things in order for you to be able to address certain matters because you don't have, or you're not aware of how much budget it is. I'm going to tell you a legal trick. If you put in a Freedom of Information form, an official one, to HUD, they have to give you an answer in a certain amount of days of what your budget is. They cannot refuse you. Okay. And that cuts through all your red tape that you're looking at. Okay. Then they have to answer any questions that you put on that paper. They have to give you an answer. That cuts through any other political jargon that they're trying to feed you right now, because this is important. A lot of people depend on housing. A lot of people depend on what resources you guys are given. Okay. And without those resources, we essentially go back maybe 10, 20 years back to square one. We don't want to do that. We want to keep moving forward. We want to make sure that the district is safe and the people that live here are safe. And everything that you guys do is very important, and they have to give you an answer. And I just think that was important to bring forward. That's it.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Commissioner Silla?
Dr. Mayala, this is Teresa Silla from the district's Interagency Council on Homelessness. It is so wonderful to hear your voice again. I'm so grateful to you for, one, recognizing that the Housing Authority did help you to resolve some of your personal issues, and then also the fact that you put what was personally happening to you to the side to talk to us, to let us know that you care so much about what is happening to all Housing Authority residents and tenants. Really appreciate you for taking that moment to step back from your own pressing needs and just to think about what we are dealing with and what the system will be shouldering as a whole. So appreciative of your advocacy and presence, Dr. Mayala. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm happy to see you too, ma'am.
Next, we have Kenneth Council. And I see that you've already joined. Kenneth Council, we're sending you a promotion request.
Good afternoon, all. In
Good afternoon.
December at your Board of Commissioners meeting, I wanted to find out did you all find out who were the who were the inspectors that was doing fraudulent inspections, and were they held accountable? Over the holiday, I found out that there were a lot of decomposed bodies. I don't know why you all did not do a wellness check, but even after you found out that there were decomposed bodies, you all took your time to even have someone come in and clean the units out so the smell and the stench stayed in the buildings. January 27th of this year, the oversight of the DC Council's roundtable, it was crystal clear that DCHA is in a lot of trouble. You all have gaslighted. You've tried to use every excuse you can on what done what and who did what. when it's speaking of what you all have done, and that's removing money that you all don't even know where it is, but somehow it's done a Houdini act. A lot of the residents are not getting what they need to be done. Personally, I have had someone enter my unit unwarranted, but I'm handling it like it's supposed to be done. You all can look into it. I don't know if you all know, but you'll soon find out. And you got properties that you're trying to sit here and sell, I guess pay to play. You're adding bonds, and then the percentage that you're using, there's no such thing as 100% at DC Housing Authority and nothing but corruption. What are you all doing? You're taking vacancies offline and making your numbers look good. Commissioners, I ask you, please get from behind the desk and come out and stop taking their word. See it for yourself. That's on both sides, the public housing side as well as the voucher side. There's no such thing as 100. Final, you all know that corruption is there and you're retaliating against people that have integrity, which is unfair. You all are telling the residents now that you all are getting ready to add bonds to them, but there's simple questions that they're asking you all. You all literally tell them you don't know. You're paying play to play with this property or properties. And the sad part about it, you all have not even finished, which is 12 plus years over at Berry Farms. So how do you expect to do 9 more properties when you can't complete this one? Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Council.
Next, we have Patricia Malloy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. We can hear you. You have 3 minutes, Ms. Malloy.
Okay, my name is Patricia Malloy, former resident council president for Lincoln Heights and chair of New Community Relocation. I was relocated to the Strand residency. Today, I'm here to speak on the lack of communication within the Lincoln Heights property. I heard Director Pettigrew's remarks about the ice and the snow. Each property has their own staff. The residents of Lincoln Heights started calling me on Friday, January 30th, in regards to sidewalks, common areas not being shoveled, nor salt put down. I have pictures. Also, this past weekend, Sunday, Lincoln Heights had a bursted pipe. But before this happened, I was trying to reach the rental office. Going on 3 weeks, no one answered the phone nor communicated with the residents. How I was able to get through was I emailed Mr. Tyree, the regional. I have email trails where I've been emailing him from last Friday, even up until yesterday, in regards to the busted pipes and vacant units, icicles where water was coming out the units through the window in the bathroom, the kitchen. I have those photos. Also, with Sunday, with the water being cut off, I started receiving calls 6 o'clock in the morning. Residents had no water. The water didn't get back on until 6:48 Sunday night. But I almost had to go through hell or high waters to get someone to respond. Command center took over 2 hours to pick up the phone. Residents kept calling me. I told them to call command center and tell them the pipes are busted. You all have no water. I emailed Mr. Tyree. He did respond back to me, said he was not aware, but he would look into it. I texted him back and said, someone needs to get water to the residents because they have no water to cook, nor it wasn't water to cook nor drink. My next concern Director Pettigrew, I know you're doing the best you can. The board, I have no trust and faith in no one on that board. The residents are being, the management staff is not treating them the way they should be treated. Maintenance work is not being done. I would like to thank Carolyn Punter, Mr. Little, and Mr. Tyree for accepting my phone calls and getting back with me. Lincoln Heights, my next step is to have a press conference in front of 450th Street. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Next, we have Detrice Belt. Detrice Belt. I'm going to move forward. Next, we have Susie Smith. Susie Smith. Star 6 to unmute yourself, and please accept the promotion request that we might be sending to your device. Moving forward. Next, we have Kay Pixley. Kay Pixley, I believe we sent you a promotion request.
Hello.
Daniel, could you let them know that no one from housing sent Sue Smith invite?
I will.
Thank you.
Ms. Malloy, you're unmuted.
I will.
Okay, I did see Kay Pixley, but I'm going to move forward. Next, we're going to call on Shanta High.
Romans 14:13. Therefore, let us not pass judgment on one another any longer, but rather decide never to put a stumbling block or hindrance in the way of a brother. Good afternoon to all. I'm Lady Reverend Dr. Shante High, retired two-term president of the Council at Park Morton. I am here today to address ongoing concerns that residents continue to raise about communication, responsiveness, and equitable treatment within DCHA. I want to address directly an issue that has become far too common. Residents are unable to get return calls or emails from DCHA staff. I have personally been contacted by several residents seeking assistance with porting their vouchers. One example is Ms. Bonnie Moore, who has given me permission to speak on her behalf, formerly of 651 Morton Street, Northwest, apartment 33. She is a current voucher holder whose mother has only a few months to live. She has reached out to DCHA multiple times to port her voucher so she can care for her mother in her final days. Her calls have gone unanswered and her emails have been ignored. I asked this board, what is a resident supposed to do in a situation like this? Residents have also asked a reasonable question. If a voucher is current, why must it be renewed before porting? I told them I would bring that question to this board, though, based on my own experience waiting more than 5 years for answers, I am not confident a timely response will be received. At the heart of these concerns, a large issue with residents wanting to know how they can move forward with their lives when the systems meant to support them create barriers instead. Many want to care for their aging parents, pursue better career opportunities, seek home ownership, attend college, or retire with dignity. Yet they feel trapped by processes that are inconsistent, opaque, and often dismissive of our needs. Park Morton residents were promised opportunities for home ownership. Instead, those of us who have advocated for equity have faced continuous discriminatory and retaliatory treatment that is unacceptable. Before I conclude, I would like to address Executive Director Pettigrew. Bless your heart, Pettigrew. Leadership carries responsibilities, and the decisions made under your administration have real consequences for real families. Accountability is not optional, it is owed. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Ms. High.
Thank you. Next, we have Jemiah Johnson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jemiah Johnson, and I'm here once again on behalf of Miss Pamela Germany, representing her, who resides at the 4800 at the Nanny Helen Burroughs. The last time I spoke, I addressed several ongoing issues she has been experiencing at her residence. Unfortunately, I am here today to reiterate that those issues have not been resolved, and in fact, they have worsened. As Germany is already battling health challenges and no one should be forced to live in inhumane conditions, she continues to deal with excessive trash, maggots, unresolved maintenance problems that have not been properly fixed, are getting worse, and exposure to fumes such as toxic glazing chemicals that are done without proper notifications to residents. It's not just unacceptable, but it's dangerous. Although some individuals have reached out in attempt to relocate her, the alternative locations offered has just been just like unsafe, just has been in unsafe areas and are just in uninhabitable as where she is now, and even worse. It is safe that anything is being presented to her just to move her out quickly rather than ensuring she is placed somewhere safe and suitable. Um One of the places they offered her had bullet holes in the windows during the showing. It wasn't clean and it was rusted. And that was at the Sheridan Station location. And the other two locations were on the news. One had a lady killed on the porch, which was on Atlantic Street, and on 7th Street, they had an actual police shootout. She told DCHA about all of this, and no one reached out to her or followed up about the situation of her relocating into the safe, uninhabitable places. I'm respectfully asking that someone please reach out to her after this meeting or sometime this week to guide her in the right direction towards obtaining a housing choice voucher. So she could choose somewhere safe, habitable, and a place to live, and somewhere she could work directly with a landlord to resolve any problems she may have at her property of her choice. She's been on the list for 16 years and she's watching everyone else move out while she's still there suffering. She deserves dignity, safety, and a healthy living environment. And I myself had just received a housing choice voucher to relocate and move. And she's going through a lot of health challenges and things too. And I feel like while she's being told that there are no more housing choice vouchers to give out, um, I'm pretty sure there are because I just received one. And once again, she's watching people move around her that stand in the same building. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Johnson. Yeah, the staff will follow up. I think staff is telling me that they've already spoken with her. Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Donna Towns. Donna Towns. *6 to unmute. Next, we have Paulette Matthews.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, Miss Matthews. You have 3 minutes.
That came around real quick. I know it should be changed back to 5. But anyway, I'm actually on the phone to talk about a few things and hope I have enough time to talk about it. First, I want to talk about parking on Keller Miller. Far-wise, as residents or family members receiving $250 tickets around here when they're trying to come and just visit their family members. Like, this has been a pet peeve for me ever since Miss Lee was here, Miss Hightower, Miss Rochelle, and all of that, because you can provide passes for the home health care aides for a whole week, and then whoever comes on the weekend, they can get one for the weekend, but yet we can't get parking passes to even give our visitors a place in the wall, or even have the common courtesy of having people to come and stay with us. It's not stay with us, but come to our house for 4 hours or 8 hours. They ain't saying 14 days and all that, and you see the need to give people a ticket. I think that's crazy. Something needs to be done. That's why a lot of people don't have visitors. And they're ticketing left and right, and it really doesn't even make any sense to me. So I hope that they can resolve that. The snow issue, something really needs to be done with it, because we were all supposedly be aware of the fact of the snow coming. I actually used to be on a snow team, and I looked out the door, and when I saw what I saw, I was like, okay, I'm doomed. Even though I'm not supposed to pick up a shovel no more, I'm going to pick up this shovel because I'm going to have to make it easier for me. It was a nightmare. I don't know about all areas. I know about where I am. I didn't see no pre-treating. And even when it started snowing, what happened and afterwards, and it was almost like people were waiting for God or Mother Nature to do it. I want to give kudos to Miss Davis for making certain that people came out to make certain that people wouldn't be sliding down hills and steps and everything. Like the steps and getting to the dumpster is very essential. You need those type of things to take place. So that part. I'm trying to rush it all in, as you can see. Berry Farms, I will always like for somebody, even if the question is not asked, to talk about the updates of Berry Farms. Because for one thing, a lot of people have died who thought that they were going to get back. When they came through there, they was knocking down 30, 40 houses at a time. They putting up one here, one over here, one there. Oh, the townhouses are on their way. I know that. I got that MO when I was at the parade. She informed me of that. But it's just the fact that somebody needs to keep us in the loop, because of the mere fact, as we sit here and as I think about it, I always ask whether or not they had the money. I should have been asking, do they have the money? And also, how does this thing work with permits? How fast will you put these buildings up? Because we went through a nightmare even in trying to, move out to different places. Now, when it comes to what I just heard by Miss Hyde and all that, how y'all doing? I miss y'all guys, but even for me, it took me 21 years on the housing list to get somewhere. The first place they showed me was Arthur Capers. That was the old building. I had to turn that down immediately to find out that you only get 2 offers. And I guess, if that other one was Berry Farms, I chose it. I don't know what would have happened if not. Would I have been to the back of the list or what? Then same time, whole time, you can't just be rushing people in these units. It's been some things that have happened here, but Housing Authority are dealing with those concerns and stuff when I come to. Thanks, Ms. Hunter. Thanks, Ms. Davis. Thanks, Ms. Perry. Thanks, Mr. I'd be messed up, Mr. May, because I got a dog food. It's like pedigree. But thank you, Keith. So that's how I'm going to keep that one for all the stuff that y'all are doing. But I know we got to all work together as a team to really get this stuff together. We really, really have to do something so much different. And I know that y'all are putting forth effort to do some of these things, but sometimes it comes with who you with and how things get done. And then it's like some of the repairs that supposed to be done, like how that works, because we're tired of Band-Aids, because Band-Aids don't lead to nothing but another control number being issued. And these have been the things since Todman, since Garrett and all of this. And yeah, we might have new board members on the board, but like, come on, everybody, we got to do so much better. It's 2025, and I'm tired of talking to y'all on the phone. I don't know what none of y'all look like, and nope, I don't want to get on Zoom on the camera. I don't.
Ms.
So I
Matthews,
guess
you have
that's my
exceeded your
issue, and
time.
I'm done.
Thank
I'm
you.
done.
Thank
But
you.
y'all got to do so much better. Y'all playing with it.
Okay, we hear you, Ms. Matthews.
So that concludes our resident testimony. We're now going to move into our non-resident testimony. First, I'm going to call
Before
Kyrie.
we continue, I just want to say,
I'm sorry.
I've said this before, that at the end of each board meeting, the board does get a matrix from the staff showing the all the people who've testified, what their issues are, and how the staff followed up. Now, sometimes we aren't able to resolve every issue, but I think the staff is doing a credible job in terms of following up and to the best they can, trying to resolve issues. Some things we're just not going to be able to resolve. But I think we're doing the best we can. But we can do, as always, we will try to do better and to continue to improve. Thank you.
So next, we're going to move forward with Kyrique. I believe his name is Gregory. Kyrique Gregory. Okay, I'm going to move forward. Next, we'll call on Savonia Smith. Zenovia Smith, once again. I see your hand is raised.
Okay, I couldn't get on, but I think I'm
Okay.
Can you all hear me? I
We can hear
apologize.
you. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Zenovia Smith. I am the court-appointed receiver for 1827, 1829 Good Hope Road Southeast, as well as 3639 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. I accepted this appointment under court order to stabilize the buildings and to protect the tenants. Since October 2025, when my change of ownership documents were submitted, I have repeatedly requested basic operational information from DCHA, including tenant lists, rent rolls, lease documentation, clarification from assigned case managers. These are essential documents for receivers to properly manage housing under court supervision. Inspections were conducted in December 16th, 2025 to identify needed repairs. I was told to move forward and correct those repairs, which we began addressing immediately. However, when I later inquired about next steps, I was advised that the matter had to be reviewed by upper management and discussed in a meeting with Office of General Counsel before request documentation could be released. As of today, I still have not received those documents. My concern is, why did it take over 3 months and an escalation to this board meeting for it to become a priority? This delay directly impacts tenants. Without verified rent rolls documentation, payments may remain on hold, leases cannot be properly validated or reissued, finalized, financial stability of the property is delayed, repairs become harder to fund and complete efficiently. Receiverships exist to correct distressed housing conditions and protect vulnerable residents. When there's no clear internal process to support a court-appointed receiver, tenants remain in uncertainty longer than necessary. My question to the board is straightforward. What is the formal process for onboarding and supporting court-appointed receivers? Why must basic documentation requests required by upper management and general counsel? Why are case managers not trained or equipped to respond to legally authorized requests in a timely manner? I'm not here to assign blame. I'm asking for a defined process, accountability, and coordination so the stabilization efforts are not delayed in the future. Tenants deserve efficiency, they deserve stability, and court-appointed receivers deserve cooperation. I respectfully request that this board staff to establish a clear written onboarding process for court-appointed receivers, including a defined timeline for releasing essential documents. I'm almost done. Such as tenant list writ rolls. For example, the MLK building, we were able to get information without issue. However, Good Hope we're still waiting. So I appreciate your time. If I can get a request or written response within 10 days, I would greatly appreciate this. I appreciate your time to this matter.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Smith. So is the building you're talking about, is that a
We don't own it. We don't own it. It's not one of our properties. And I think we are working on this. It's somewhat complicated, but someone will be in touch with her. It looks like there have been some contacts, but it's, somewhat complicated.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Next, we have Daniel Del Peliego. And Daniel, I see that you're on. We just sent you a promotion request.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. Excuse me. I wanted to share some feedback on the recent meeting that was held at Lincoln Heights regarding the renovation of the property. It was very short on details. The timelines are laid out in seasons, which of course doesn't lend to planning, at least on the tenant's end, on what they can expect. I realize that these are difficult projects, especially in these days, but I'm starting to see some of the hallmarks of some of the issues that have ailed this agency around developments, redevelopments for the past couple of decades now, where timelines are unsure. It makes tenants nervous, confused. There's a lack of trust that any of this will move on as planned. The other big thing and a big question that was asked at the meeting was, I believe the person who was the presenter shared the reason why we had to convert to RAD, why the Housing Authority was seeking RAD approval for the properties. And that was to go to the private market to borrow money for these redevelopments. So the big question that seemed to come up was, what about the $700 million that you all say you have secured through the industrial revenue bonds? Understanding that, of course, the $700 million is not going to go to one property and it's got to be spread amongst 19 properties. But those talking points don't seem to be making sense, right? If you say, we got money, we're going to do this, but then there's a layer of like, well, we're going to have to go out and borrow money. And hearing what we heard at the top of the meeting, where we are unsure of the budget for this year. Of course, that has nothing directly to do with you all, at least how much money is allocated to this agency. But nonetheless, I think there is a big concern now that what is really happening? What are funds secured? Will this project move forward? And what does this mean for people who a lot of these properties have been promised something for decades now, and I think this the lack of a specific timeline and better information makes it really, really difficult for there to be buy-in from public housing tenants, and of course, folks who want to support them. So I will leave it at that, but hopefully there will be more details and more information coming up that helps to allay some of these concerns, because we all do want to see the properties improve. We want to see renovations happening, but not holding our breaths at this moment, it appears.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your continued advocacy. I mean, I think we need to do a better job of communicating. I mean, these projects do take a lot of time. There's no question about that. But we have to continually communicate with the residents to let them know what's going on. And I will encourage the staff to do more and more communications, meetings. I know you have a certain number of meetings, but if you have to do more, then you just have to do more to keep residents up to date. Yes.
Chairman, could I just respond to
Yes.
comment about
Stand up.
that? Right.
Who are you?
I'm Erin Wilson. I presented at Lincoln Heights, so I wanted to make sure that I cleared up any confusion. So it sounds like there was a misunderstanding and I maybe didn't explain it as clearly as I should have. So we do have $700 million of bonds. That is a loan, right? That will be on each property. A portion of that will be on each property. We are not going out anywhere else and getting dollars. But the bonds are a loan that will be divided between the properties. So we have the funding, right? So I just want to make that perfectly clear.
And so let me jump in. Yeah, so let me jump in really quickly. And the timeline is frustrating for us as well. As you know, as Erin just stated, we do have the bond dollars, but under the RAD program, the biggest reason of converting is going to a more stable funding source, which is the Section 8 side of the house versus the public housing side of the house. So a lot of these developments are being repositioned through the RAD or a RAD blend program to have more stable funding. So as we're sitting here talking about our, public housing, we don't know that budget yet, zero inflation factor. Generally through a RAD on the PBV, project-based voucher side, you're funded at a different level, and Congress usually funds that, and you don't see cuts to those projects. So that's number one, the reason of converting through RAD. The second piece that the timelines are very vague is because you have to do a lot of due diligence. These projects are older. The guts are old. There's a lot of replacement. And so, as we said, the 700 million is for 19 properties. So although Erin said we don't know if we have to go get anything else, it's the unknowns. So if guts need to be replaced, we need to replace that. We also need to make it more modern. The wants of the residents that you've said, we're incorporating all of that. So that takes time. So the team we heard you before that we weren't meeting enough. So they're trying to come back each month and meet, but sometimes there's no changes. And unfortunately, there's no changes. We don't know what the budget can be. Will we get more dollars to assist if the guts or other things cost more than what's obligated to each of these developments? So the team is working hard. We're trying to get out each month to give some type of updates, but unfortunately, we can't give you what we don't have right now. And once we have it, we will openly put out better timelines. Once we have all the due diligence and developer consultants on board, and we'll go from there and still building the scope of work. So I hope that helps a little bit.
It does, and if I may just briefly, I think I personally understand how difficult these projects are, and there are some unknowns. I think like the mechanism of how they work can be better explained at these meetings, especially if you are committing to having reoccurring meetings, and there may not be many updates. I think it would be important to note, how are we going to bake this cake, right? And this is everything that goes into it. I think would be important because what we hear and what the public hears on face value sounds great. But of course, there are a lot of details that make these projects difficult that I think, tenants would be better served with having some understanding of that.
Thank you, Daniel. And again, thank you for the work that you do, and continue to stay in touch with us.
Next, we have William Jordan. Mr. Jordan, I believe we sent you a promotion request.
Yes.
Perfect. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Can you hear me?
We can.
We can hear you.
All right. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
So I wanted to begin with the resolution regarding the election of resident commissioners. I'm going to ask you all to pull it back and fix the grandfather clauses that are in this requirements for running for commissioner. Some of these requirements are absolutely ridiculous. It basically says if you work for basically families, not just the individuals, but anybody in the family that works for the DC government can't run. And we're in a government town, so you can't work for the federal government. You can't work for the DC government. Nobody in your family can work for the federal government and the DC government. And you run for board. That makes absolutely no sense. So there are several of these points in terms of eligibility that really have to be revisited and scrapped, and whoever wrote them fired. So basically that's it. So this is grandfather clause stuff, man. You actually don't want people to run for the office because it excludes everybody. And even if we achieve what I believe we should be doing is making sure these contracts hire residents in terms of all this redevelopment and $700 million, it's questionable if you get one of those contracts, you can't run. Come on, half the board couldn't pass this thing. So you all have to pull that back and fix it. And if you don't, that's Trumpism kind of stuff. The other thing I wanted to hit on, of course, is members of this board promised to work with me and Ms. High and deal with this home ownership thing at Park Morton. And it's not happening. I get a lot of good talk, but it's not happening, and it needs to happen. That's important because when we look around to all of this, it's the strength of the residents that's going to carry this forward. Finally, I wanted to talk about the hokey pokey I saw at the council financial hearing about a chart of accounts, right? You telling me that this agency can't get the chart of accounts straight? And so every time there was a question back and forth, it was the hokey, put your left hand in, put your right hand in, you spin around, then they would ask another question, then you do the hokey pokey again. Come on, if you can't do that, then how can I expect that you can do the other things that you promised? You need to separate what we're doing for the residents from what's happening and fixing this agency. The agency is not fixable. So, anyway, we'll talk more about it, but you got to fix this resolution. It's ridiculous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jordan.
If I could comment on that. So the provision that Mr. Jordan cited is actually in the law. And so unfortunately, you got to take that one up with the city council. The law actually provides that commissioners essentially cannot, with the exceptions of our present commissioners who are also district employees, essentially commissioners cannot be district employees, nor can their spouses, nor can they be federal employees. I mean, the piece that you, Mr. Jordan, that you mentioned is unfortunately in the law. So, we were just trying to repeat in the election procedures the same requirements that apply to all of our commissioners, including the elected resident commissioners. So
that's what the board is for. They should go and talk to the council and get the crap fixed. You can't move forward something that's fundamentally broken. This is not some minor thing. This is, otherwise it's basically unconstitutional. And even though we don't have a constitution, go back to the council and get it fixed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jordan. Commissioner Murphy, did you have a question?
I was just going to thank our general counsel and our legal staff for making sure that we comply with the law. So that's all.
We try. So yeah.
Commissioner Silla, did you have? No.
No, okay. we can talk about this when the resolution is up for discussion. Right. Yep.
Okay. Next we have Andy Wassernick.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we're sending you a promotion request.
You've had him.
Got him.
And *6 if you're having difficulty speaking. There we go. Andy Wasenick?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't see that I was not unmuted or what have you. I'm Andy Wasnick. I'm the policy director from Miriam's Kitchen. I have testified here before. Thank you for having me. I do have written testimony, but I'm really coming here to ask a question or ask for clarity around the pause or the freeze on rent increases and exactly what that means. When they were presented to the local provider community at the DHS providers meeting back in December, different people from different providers came away with different assessments of that. At last month's DCHA providers meeting, I raised a question about this. And the answer I received from Mr. Shaw was that landlords still indeed could raise the rent. And if that was the case, then individual voucher holders would be on the hook for the increased amount. Mr. Shaw said that in that case, that DCHA would provide transfer vouchers to individuals who would then be priced out of that unit and they could move. So, which raises a whole other bunch of questions that I have, if that's the case, including as to whether or not that's even feasible, since we're not providing, security deposit assistance, and I don't know that we have in transfer situations anyway in the past. I was just wondering, can somebody just, and I also told that there was going to be an FAQ that was released on this that wasn't released. So if somebody now or in the near future can answer this question, that would be great. I mean, I have a couple other issues to touch on, but if there's a short answer here, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, Andy, we'll definitely have Anton, our staff, reach out to you.
Right.
And the FAQs are in.
There are some that's already posted on the website, but we're going to.
It's on the website?
Yeah. Oh, yes. So there are some questions that we have posted on the website, and we'll continue to update as we have more information or as we get additional questions.
So I just want to flag here that given the the environment that we all know that we're in, and I'm hearing, I heard Director Pettigrew's comments at the beginning, like a change like this, if a landlord is still able to increase the rent and somebody's on the hook, and even though we provide them a transfer voucher, but we're not giving them a security deposit, this is going to make people homeless, both in the local program and the federal program. And in the event that people, do successfully transfer, then chances are they're going to transfer into units that are costing more than what the increased rent was to begin with. And I don't see how it's necessarily a cost-saving measure. The only way I see it as being a cost-saving measure is if rents just can't be increased, or if by attrition we are going to lose people into homelessness again and they're going to come off our books. So that's, I just want to kind of state that for the record. The other thing is this, just like as we are in this environment, communication is so key. Nobody from DHS was notified about the security deposit change either, and that led to a lot of frantic emailing about from DHS and between providers and things like that. We are in a situation where a lot, understandably, people are stressed out and frankly scared, and decisions like that need to be made in conjunction with partners, and so that we are not. We have people in our programs who are worried about losing their vouchers just because of the general, atmosphere that we're living under. And so I would just encourage, Director Pettigrew, and also Director Pettigrew, I have nothing but positive things to say about Mr. Shaw and your deputies, but occasionally I think it would behoove the communication process if you showed up, at some of these provider meetings yourself as well, to let people know what was going on. And as you have a way of communicating things that don't always otherwise get communicated.
And I'll just add one thing for the record. On the security deposit, it's not a policy change. There's a budget amount every year for security deposits, and it has been expended. Prior years, we expended it, but the budget situation was different, so we allowed it to keep going. So it's not a policy change. it's the amount that is set aside for the year has already been expended.
Clear.
And definitely we can do a better job in the future. This is the first year it was come up on this, but in the future of communicating that the budget that was there is now expended. So until, appropriations for the next year, it won't start back up again.
Like, we just all sort of need to be in the same boat, as much as possible.
Thank you. Commissioner Silla.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Rent pauses? Question mark. Like, did we have a conversation about this? Am I completely blanking out? Because I do see Allison pulling up a press release that goes back to November or December. I don't know if a part of the lapse in communication was that I think we might have pulled down our December committee or worker meetings, but and maybe I need to be corrected. I don't recall us talking about a rent pause. So
Yeah, same.
crazy. Yeah. So we talked about adjusting the rent limits, and we talked about the new rent limits that apply, but I do not recall us talking about a pause in rent increases, and so maybe I need to go back and revisit the board books, but I just wanted to this feels new and different for me, and I don't recall having this conversation.
I was just going to say the same. I don't know. It just a couple times at this meeting, it feels like we've come down to the same point, which is just we got to fix communication, both to us and to advocates and to residents and whatever. And I don't know how we do that, but it does start to get frustrating.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Pamela Germany. Pamela Germany. And I see your hand is raised. Star 6 so that you can unmute yourself. We sent your promotion request. You can begin your testimony.
Hello.
We can hear you. You have 3 minutes, Miss Germany.
Okay. First, I would like to start by saying thank you for allowing me to come back here and speak. There may be some difficulties, and I never think that God does the right thing the wrong way. I am in here now, stage 3 lung cancer, and a lobectomy, half of my lung removed. But I'm living on a property that you say that you financially have the best interest for the financial wealth of this building, but I'm sitting in here with a mask on. I'm sitting on here with this big thing on because my windows have been open ever since yesterday. I had to get out of here. I have suffered from inhalation of toxic chemicals, which you are well aware that this property is doing. Today, I'm going to have to leave out of here. I don't know how many times I'll have to call the fire department and have them to come here. They have to shut the building down because these things are constantly ongoing. Every time I reach out to housing, seemingly they want to create a narrative that, well, we've tried to help Miss Germany. Nobody has tried to help me, including Mr. Shaw, who just recently clipped out a version of what Mrs. Grace Campion had sent as her resolve to the issue of them not doing what they were supposed to do. I've never asked for to be on the public housing program. I am on the HCVP program, just a Section 8 program, which I've been waiting for 16 years. And this is my second bout with cancer. I don't know what's going to come of this, but I'm not going to give anyone the option of taking me and throwing me in a place that have bullet holes through a window. I don't mean no harm, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but you wouldn't put one of your family members there. So why would you want to do this to me? And then you say in your mission, and we have a right. Okay, now I see they messing with the time again. But I see that you guys do this often. You want to make it a situation where you have no accountability or no responsibility. You guys are aware that the other two houses that you gave me, one was on Atlantic Street, one was on 7th Street. Both of those houses ended up on the news. I still have the clips. A young lady would have been dead 2 porches down from me, connected. You guys told me to go look at this house, and when I denied it, you guys constantly say, well, we'll give her properties, but she don't pick up on the properties. You all have medical information, medically necessitated orders from Georgetown University Hospital since 2024. No one, including, I'm sorry to say, Mr. Pettigrew. I have sent a letter to you. My family members have. The oncology staff at Georgetown Hospital have, to tell you about the urgency that if I didn't get my lung removed, that it could have caused my death, but y'all leave me here and say, well, we are going to give you a transfer. Transfer me to where? I'm not on public housing property. I wish that I wasn't in this situation and I could resume back to my profession as a professional nurse. But at the end of the day, I'm not God. I can't wave a magic wand over my life. This is what I have to deal with. I didn't set my life up to be in this situation, but it's also wrong to do this to a person and hold them accountable. I'm disabled. If I can do better, believe me, I would definitely not be dealing with this situation. But I should not be forced to live in this situation and breathe in toxic tub glazing chemicals. That's how I got the lung cancer. Here, you guys, Nona Eve is the one that gave this medically mandatory urgent move for me to get out of here. So you are understanding that there are environmental issues here that warrant my life. Not only
Miss Germany, I'm sorry, your time has expired.
Yeah, I know it always does. But everybody else get extensions, and then you start the clock on me before I even start talking. But it's okay.
No, we gave you an extra minute and a half. We will definitely have some more.
Ms. Germany, we'll reach out to you. We'll reach out to you ASAP, my dear. All right.
No one has contacted me from the last meeting.
I got you, Ms. Germany. I got you, but I'm talking to you now. We're gonna get in touch with you this evening. All right. I heard you. I heard you, my dear.
Thank you, Ms. Germany.
Thank you. And last we have is Chris Oten. Chris Oten, we have sending you a promotion request. I see your hand is raised. *6 to unmute yourself. Chris Oten?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, just so it's clear, I'm a resident. I'm a DCHA client, so I'm just not sure why I didn't get to speak earlier. I just want to put my name and contact info on the record. It's Chris Otten. For folks in the audience, they can reach me at chrisotten2@yahoo.com or 202-810-2768. Commissioners, I was here 4 months ago. I had asked about a question regarding my building, and today affirms it. I'm hearing communication's a problem. I'm hearing you all are getting money to privatize public housing buildings without even knowing fully whether we have to gut the buildings. You're all getting money before you even understand the problem. I'm really grappling with what's going on here. I've talked to an annual inspector. I've talked to the chief of inspectors, I've talked to the ombudsman, and I've talked to my case manager. I cannot get a clear answer. If there's mold in the common areas and there are rodents in the common areas of my building, which the management team can't seem suffice to get it cleared out, and I feel better when I have to go take care of my dad who's ailing from, just getting older. I feel better when I leave my unit than when I'm in my unit. And I explain that to the annual inspector. And he says, oh, we have special inspectors. Just ask the chief of inspectors. And I get answers that there's nothing they can do. It is outside my unit. And I explain, well, the crawl space just below my unit is the problem. It makes my unit inhabitable, depending on the weather, depending on the time of day, depending on how the mold is growing or not, or how the rats are pooping, or whatever they're doing under there. It comes up into my unit, particularly in the bathroom and in the kitchen, where the pipes go down through the floor and allow the air toxicity to come up into my unit. There's a theme here I'm hearing today. We can't get help. My neighbor died of a weird cancer. My other neighbor got real sick. I am unwell. I feel better when I leave the unit. I'm asking for help. I want to understand why, if there are things just outside the unit that can't be looked at and fixed, if the management company ain't going to do it. I paid for my own independent mold inspector. They came, they looked, they said, we can take care of this, Chris, in one weekend. $6,000. You don't have to move anywhere. Right? We could come in here, just get rid of the rats. We'll come in here and take care of the mold. One weekend. I'm being told I got to leave the property and go across town. That's the alternative. I don't need to do that. I don't need to uproot my life. So I just need an answer from this board, just quick. Why, for things just outside of the unit that's impairing my unit, why cannot that be taken care of by DCHA and or pressured on the management company to take care of it?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ott.
And I'll just add really quickly. I know, Mr. Otten, you're in a development that DCHA doesn't own, so we don't have the ability to make those repairs. As a voucher holder, we have the ability to come and inspect, and if something does fail, to, ask you to transfer, give you the option to transfer to another project-based voucher unit. So just to explain, and even with the last caller, Mrs. Germany as well.
Respectfully, we have not gotten any. I've asked for what are the regulations around mold in the common spaces. Since you can't do it, why can't we pressure the management company to do it? Since I'm your client, you're paying for this unit that's impairing my health and making your client sick. So why can't we pressure the management company? Why do I have to uproot my life and go to Ward 8 when I've been in Ward 1 for 25 years? Do you understand?
We can have staff your lease is not with us, your lease is with the owner. And yes, you have the voucher or the subsidy through us. So yes, we can circle back and have someone give you a call and try to mediate with the management company. But again, the lease is with them, not with the housing authority. So that is their responsibility.
I'm just asking for help.
Okay.
Thank
you. And just for the record, Chairman, too, for Mrs. Jeremy as well, where she does reside, she's not in a public housing unit, as she stated, and not in a voucher unit. So again, we will have the team, which I believe she mentioned, Grace Campion, reach out to those owners to try to assist in intervening. But there's not much the housing authority can do because she's not on a subsidized program there. She's not in a public housing unit, nor does she have a Section 8 voucher.
Chairman, that concludes your public testimony for today.
Okay, thank you. And again, I want to thank all of those who have come forward today to provide testimony. Again, the board likes to hear from the public, from residents as well as non-residents, in terms of how you're interacting with the staff and what's going on in that regard. So again, thank you. So the next item on our agenda is our committee reports and resolutions. And we're going to start with the Committee on Operations and Administrative Services. Commissioner Silla.
I was just hoping for a bathroom break to quickly run to the restroom.
No, that's-
Is there any opportunity for that?
Yes, we can do that.
Is that okay? Thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry.
Okay, so let's go to the Committee on Capital Projects.
Right. I'm virtual, so I'm good. This will be quick for us. I don't think we have any resolutions to consider today or to put forth today. Basically, the committee got a briefing this month on the status of the IRB projects, the status of the judiciary rehabilitation project, and the Greenleaf project. And so really it was kind of a status check-in. The committee asked the staff to come back to our next meeting with a bit more specific information, in particular about the bond project and about Greenleaf. So we will look forward to getting that next month. And should we have resolutions, we will bring them forward to the board.
So I was not able to make that meeting, but I would like to get, since we have a little time, get that update on Greenleaf in particular. So,
you want to talk about it right now?
Yes. Or if you can.
Yeah, I mean, Amy, this may be one for Amy to address, or it's obviously sensitive.
I'm not sure there's a public update at this point, probably for that one.
Right.
I'm not sure there's a public update. I think that's still sort of under discussion, if that's okay.
Okay.
If I can say that.
All righty.
Okay.
We would like to find a way for everyone to proceed in a way that makes it possible eventually for us to move forward. That there is not a path yet for that to happen, but we are hopeful to.
So, all right, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Committee on Budget, Audit and Finance, the chair, Commissioner Reed, is not here. I'm going to ask Commissioner Clay to update him. Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. In the office, in our meeting, we discussed first with Office of Financial Management updates related to the audit findings tracker, which they're working on updating that to include dates in the timeline to address all of the audit findings. We expect that will be complete this month in terms of the update with those dates. Also, there was discussion about the progress that's been made on reconciling a lot of the balance sheet accounts and providing the trial balance to the auditors, that the audit due date has been changed to June 1st, 2026. So they're still working on getting some information together to provide to the auditors to start that audit. There are a couple of accounts that they're still working on reconciling, or at least the biggest ones is there's the interfund reconciliation that deals with the accounts and transactions that happen between the different business units, as well as the R&M reconciliation, which was a topic of discussion in the most recent roundtable. I think in the operations committee, we'll have an extension contract or resolution to extend the contract with BDO, who are the external firm. They're working with us to get us ready for the upcoming audit and do a lot of those reconciliations that need to be done and address a lot of the issues related to the audit findings. We also heard from the OAC, and they provided us, and that's the Office of Audit and Compliance, they provided us with an update as well of particular interests. We did talk to them about to find out where we are on the responses or the update to the procedures for the OFM report. And they are working on the items that they have received in response to their request for additional information. We expect also that will be, we're expecting that will be done before the upcoming the upcoming oversight hearing as well. So we should have that in the next week or so. And so that's all that I had. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, then let's go to resident services before we get back to Commissioner Silva. Resident services, Commissioner Blackson.
So I think Commissioner Blackson had to.
Oh, she had.
She had to hop off.
Gonna try to get back on, but she may not be on.
Okay. All right.
I did join the committee meeting, but I would, especially if she has an opportunity to join us.
Okay, so we'll wait. So let's go ahead with the operations committee.
Okay, so there were a number of resolutions that came before the operations committee and that took up the majority of the meeting time. So I think we are focusing on those resolutions first and making sure we get those approved before we just talk about the committee meeting in general. Okay, perfect. And so I think the first resolution on the table is 2601, and this is the one related to BDO and the fee accounting and balance sheet account reconciliation services. I'm assuming that there is a presentation that Housing Authority staff are going to give us a quick overview. From the perspective of the conversation that was had at the committee meeting, the concerns and questions that we had were about the specific tasks and a cost breakdown in terms of each task, including why it was necessary. So I'm actually glad that Commissioner Clay had an opportunity to go before me and to talk about the discussion that was had in the finance committee, because we were looking for assurances from the finance committee that these are necessary activities. And so was both delighted that you went before me and that I got back in just in time to hear you confirm that these were necessary. And I do appreciate the updates in the memo that itemize the tasks, including the dollar amounts associated with those tasks. And those lined up exactly with the update that Commissioner Clay gave us. So without further ado, let me turn it back over to Housing Authority.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jean Somerville, Senior VP of Procurement and Contracting. And we're bringing forth Resolution 2601, again, to authorize the extension and increase of a contract with BDO for fee accounting and balance sheet account reconciliation services. That's a mouthful. And so the purpose of this resolution that we're bringing forth is to ask for an extension of the time and to increase the contract amount by $223,200. And again, this is to extend the period of performance through September 30th, 2026 in order to support the Office of Financial Management and completing required financial deliverables and audit-related activities necessary to close out fiscal year 2025, subject to the availability of funding. And I think Commissioner Clay spoke very well around what the services are required for BDO to help us close out fiscal year 25. And then also within the resolution, commissioners, we have a breakdown of what that fee structures looks like. And so I'll kind of open the floor up for any questions if there are any related to
before we do that, I was going to ask the finance department to opine since this is their contract, really.
And once it's on our way up, in full transparency, I do want to say in our meeting we did discuss it, but we did not discuss to this level of detail. So this is certainly very, very helpful.
Yeah.
I do want to about that.
Yes, so BDO has been really helpful for introduce myself. Israel Al-Kazim. I'm the interim CFO. And so we had a discussion about BDO extending their contract because BDO has been very essential in helping us with our financials for the fiscal year 24 and 25 and going through the audits. So with fiscal year 24, we're still working on cleaning up all the findings that we received, and they're helping us with all of that. And then with fiscal year 25, they're closing the year for us, and they're helping us with the financials and the audits.
So you need them.
We do.
Okay. So Commissioner Clay, you were going to add something?
Sure. I just, to get it on the record, so the expectation is that really they will shepherd us through the 25 audit. So to the extent that there are issues or we get an auditor to come in and say, hey, we still can't reconcile these accounts, they're holding our hands with that. So we can also hold them accountable for this.
Correct.
Okay. That's I think that's important that we can hold them accountable as well.
Can I ask you a question? One of the things I know that there's like a little bit of a glitch in the system here that we're struggling with in terms of FY24 audit findings that we may have addressed after the end of FY25. So that when we get the FY25 audit, there might potentially be some things that will appear to be not closed, but we will have taken steps that would substantively otherwise have closed it if it had been adopted a month or two before. First off, I check me if that's wrong. Feel free to tell me if that's wrong. But the point I was getting at is, can BDO weigh in any way to help us like have an independent party sort of say what I just said, if that is in fact true? Can they weigh in a way that the auditors can't?
Yeah, we can definitely have them put out a statement or saying like, we did take the steps necessary to close that finding. If they were testing it before the time that we actually closed it, then it will show that it was not closed yet. So like, for example,
that's exactly what it's exactly what I was thinking of. So it sounds like we're on the same path there. I think we all have this, at least I have some anxiety that council members, or potentially others are going to say, well, wait a minute, it wasn't closed. And we're like, well, we adopted that policy in November of 25. So if it had been adopted in September of 25, it would have been closed. So, but having so don't just take our word for it, being able to say, here, BDO is telling you that they helped make this happen. I think might be helpful. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Can I take that question a step further though? Mm-hmm. Can we confirm with them that they would be willing to do that? The reason I ask is because once they actually write and say, we've done this, they take on additional risk, if you will, because they're now saying, we have made sure that procedures are in place to, and if such a report is not included as something that they're responsible for in this contract, they may say, we're not going to do that, and the reason is because that's outside of the scope. So can we? True.
Yeah. So a lot of the findings were actually the steps were taken by BDO. So if they are taking these steps, we assume that they can let us know in a statement that they took these steps, and this is the new policy, this is the new process, and this is how we're moving forward.
I would just say before we finalize the contract, let's confirm that.
Yeah,
they can put it in writing and sign off on it, because then that might change the nature of the engagement.
Can I ask? Yeah. I'm assuming that these new policies and procedures are also a part of the reason why such a significant part of their scope of work is to train staff. Is that a correct inference?
So yes, we are trying to take a lot of the tasks, the day-to-day tasks away from BDO and give them back to staff. And to be able to do that, we have to do a transition and handoff.
Okay.
And during that time, there will be training on the new policies and the new procedures.
Okay. So just especially, one thing that I really appreciated about the hearing was the opportunity to talk about the fact that it's time to address audits versus continue to do audits, whether it's a forensic investigation, whatever the case might be. And so I am grateful to have a resolution in front of us that's actually about how do we address issues and address them systematically going forward. Very grateful to see the training staff and making sure that we have the internal capacity to address these issues in a way that is systemic is a part of that answer as well. So, I think I see a lot of good stuff here.
Okay, so with that, I'll ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2601.
Motion.
Is a second? Second?
Second the motion.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Sure. Commissioner Jim Dickerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Denise Blackson, Denise Blackson, Commissioner Teresa Silla.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Chris Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosa Burbridge. Rosa Burbridge. Commissioner Ronnie Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman Skinner.
Yes.
The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Okay, then the next resolution is 2602.
Yep.
And this is an extension of a contract for community concierge care, C3.
Yes. So I can give a little bit of a high level overview in terms of what the discussion that took place at our committee was and some of the questions that I think are still outstanding and haven't actually been answered by the updates. But Jean, it's you again that's gonna present thing. Okay. What would you prefer to do? Like give the presentation and then I can weigh in with some of the outstanding questions and concerns, or do you want me to specify what some of them are, just in case you can answer them as part of your
If you
presentation?
would, lead, yes.
Okay, so I think most of us are familiar because this is not the first time that we've seen a resolution that includes community concierge care or C3 care.
Yes.
Yep. So when we adopted the original resolution, and even as part of the conversation, Commissioner Harris and myself were reflecting on how grateful we are to have this kind of primary care service that's actually readily available and operating on site. We were less concerned about this resolution because it is a lower dollar amount, but I am interested. I know this was important for me, and I'm assuming it was also important for Commissioner Harris, is in understanding how their scope is changing and what is dropping off to allow them to provide critical services with that lower dollar amount, because there is, I think, about $100,000 less is the scope of this contract. And I didn't see the answers to how their scope of work has changed as part of the resolution that's been submitted to the board book. So if you could speak a little bit about that, I think that would be important from Commissioner Harris and my perspective.
Thank you, Commissioner Siller. So they were able to drop their amount from the previous contract amount due to a decrease in some of the community outreach. So they were hosting quite a few lunch and learns, and as we know, that can get pricey where you're providing lunch for an absorbent number of people. So the lunch and learns will be cut down. Some of the flyer and printed materials that they would pass out to the residents, there's a significantly cut in those to where they would mostly just put some general information within the property management offices. So a lot of the cuts came in more around the outreach. And then they will be cutting back some of the services that are not critical to the community. But they will still be holding the vaccine clinics and still holding the primary care and initial care. So pretty much the cutback is in the I would call it like the clerical resources that they were billing us for. So as far as like the services that the community would still receive, those medical services will still be there, but it's more so in like the printed materials and then some of the admin staff that was just there to pass out those materials and distribute those materials. But the residents still will be receiving the same amount of care.
Okay, and thank you. As you started talking that through, that prompted my memory. And so maybe a part of what we need to do is capture the Q&A to help us remember these critical questions and factors and the fact that they were addressed as part of, yeah, let's do that.
It's a lot goes through our brains, a lot of input goes in there.
It is, and you know, especially when I think our conversations, our committee conversations, they've covered a lot of different resolutions, and we do have lots of back and forth on each one. And so just like an ability to identify which concerns were addressed and make sure that those are centered in the memo. Like,
We can definitely do that.
the same way, as soon as I saw that task list in that memo about the accounting, I was able to say, okay, our Q&A, the major areas of concern are addressed and are updated in the memo. So
We can definitely do that.
perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Were there any more questions, or did I need to go through these?
No, I think we can move forward
Yes,
in the interest of time. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2602, this extension and increase of contract for community concierge care.
So moved.
The second,
Second,
roll call vote, please.
Sure. Commissioner Denise Blackson. Denise Blackson. Chris Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you. Ronnie Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. Rosa Burbridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Teresa Silla.
yes.
Thank you. Jim Dickerson.
Yes.
Thank you. And Chairman Skinner.
Yes.
The resolution is approved.
Commissioner
Okay,
Blackman
okay,
is on.
right, okay. Commissioner Blackson, are you back?
Yes.
Okay. That's a vote on resolution 2602. Yes.
And my vote is yes.
Okay. All right, so the next one is resolution 2604, and this is to adopt procedures for election of resident commissioners. And again, this is a new process under the law that was passed, the Rental Act, and the Housing Authority Act was a part of the Rental Act. And it requires us to have an election for 2 resident commissioners, one this year and then one next year, I believe. The board has to adopt procedures for how those elections will transpire. And so that's what this resolution is. So I'm going to call on, do you want to do this, or Amy, to talk about?
Yeah, so I mean, I can give a little bit about like what the committee found confusing about this resolution so that we're also making sure we clear that as we're presenting on this resolution. So there are things that are new in the sense that the outcomes of the election determine who the resident commissioners to the DC Housing Authority Board of Commissioners are. But elections as an activity that and maybe this is where I need support and help, right? Because there was an aspect of this that's not new, that this organization is helping capture the election procedures or process that are currently taking place. Or maybe this is where we have a significant kind of challenge in communicating what is existing versus what is new about this process.
How about I'll step. So, although resident elections did happen in the past for commissioners, so that is correct. I mean, not the current resident commissioners, but in the past, DCHA did elect resident commissioners.
Past,
in the
like,
in
great.
past years,
Before
prior
the
to the
Star
Star
Board.
Board,
Prior
prior
to
to
the-
the Star Board. But DCHA procured Resident Participation Services PLLC, which is an independent third-party monitor, who took some of the prior procedures and for those old elections, updated them, worked with staff to update those prior procedures that were used and
incorporated.
incorporated the new law when we all
Right, which is
incorporated
important.
the new law, right? To try to create new procedures for this election, if that's what you're, and maybe that's part of the.
Yes, that is a part of the confusion.
Okay.
So it is really important to like clarify and specify that we are taking old procedures, but revamping them and making sure they make sense for current procedures.
Yes.
Another piece of the concern that Commissioner Harris and I had was whether current resident councils and their representatives had an opportunity to review or provide feedback on these policies and procedures.
These particular policies and procedures, I think in the past had been done in consultation with resident councils, but this particular version was not done in consultation with the resident councils. So that is, because it was really updated to reflect the new statute. So the updated procedures were not really, one of the folks who testified were concerned about the fact that DC employees and their spouses who are DC employees, district employees, cannot run for election. Like, that's in the law. It's been in the law. It's just the law. So like that's in here. So things like that, like the pieces that were added are largely just the law, pieces that and honestly, I think that part may have already been, we may have updated the language a little bit to make sure it's consistent with the current law. But, I think that part was already in the existing procedures, for example, because that has been the law for some time.
Okay.
So the updates that were made were not vastly different from the prior procedures, if that makes sense, other than, for example, one of the big changes in the new is that commissioners, including non-resident commissioners, cannot serve for more than 9 years in the aggregate. So no one, a resident commissioner nor a other commissioner cannot be on the board for more than 9 years.
In total.
So old board, new board, star board, none of that. So, for example, we added that to this because it's in the law. So there are some provisions like that we would have put in these procedures because they're in the new law.
Amy, tell us a little bit about the timeline that this has to pass, and why there is or is not an opportunity to take this to, for example, Commissioner Blackson's block by block to make sure our resident leaders have an opportunity to review and provide feedback. Is there a time limit that we are trying to be responsive to in terms of advancing this now? If there is a time limit, is there also an opportunity once we pass and adopt this, recognizing this is what's in play for right now, is there still an opportunity to go back to at least our resident leaders to get feedback from them, and to address that at a different cycle, not right now?
So we are, the funny thing is, so the Rental Act included a deadline for this that actually occurred before the Rental Act took effect. So we're behind, but I'll disclose we are behind, but it's also because the Rental Act language just didn't, the Rental Act didn't take effect until mid-January and the deadline was December 31, 2025.
Okay. So I guess the bigger piece is if this is law and legislation, there's nothing that can be changed. Although if someone has comments, it's the law, right?
Well, so the provisions that are the law, we cannot change. Right. And so, my point was just the changes that we made. And in fact, we talked about other changes that we didn't make because we thought they were we talked to other changes that we were concerned would be too substantive, to the prior procedures. But so I guess, my suggestion would be, because we are behind, if there is a way for the board to adopt these, we had some language in the procedures that would allow for, I'll say sort of, I think it was something like non-material changes or something like that. And so, we could, because we recognize that we don't want to have to come back to the board if we change some pieces of this.
But the other
every
thing
time.
is, again,
But there's two elections.
There's two
Right.
bites at
Right.
the apple, right?
Right.
We have to, I would like to see us get a resident commissioner on as quickly as possible. So if we proceed with this one, then next year there'll be a second election. Remember, there will be two elected.
And it actually is supposed to occur by the end of this year.
Yeah, because the other one was supposed to occur by the end of
Sort of.
25,
Yes.
which didn't happen. So
that would be an opportunity to sort of, if the board
That's-
were amenable to these procedures, to adopt
Right.
these, but then if you wanted for us to go to the block by block or to the the committee next time for more feedback, the procedures could be changed
before the
next election. I mean, that would be another, and I mean, again, there are things that we can't change because
Understood.
the law.
And
but-
I think it is fair and really important, because I want to make sure, because we know our resident leaders are listening to this call.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also want to make sure we give some time and space to Commissioner Blackson to weigh in, but I'm
Burbidge.
and Burbidge, yep. I'm not going to stand in the way of us adopting this. I'm all for that, but I do want to make sure that we are promising and we are going to ensure that we schedule an opportunity for feedback and reflections after the first election.
Yes, this is Commissioner Blackson. I do not agree with this. Just want to put that on the record. I do not agree. I believe the resident leaders, resident council, citywide advisory board, all of those should have been included in this decision making, or at least weigh in and be able to share their concerns on this. I also wanted to know, why couldn't a resident work for DC government? So are you saying elected mayor officials can work for the government, but the residents cannot? I'm just trying to understand that part.
Yeah, it's the law, the DC law that the city council passed, I mean, some time ago, I mean, basically says that a person cannot be a commissioner if you're an employee of the authority, for district government, a member of another board, a spouse, of someone who's a district government or authority employee. I mean, it's sort of, there's a whole list of things you cannot be if you're also a commissioner. And I mean, I think the attempt is really to prevent potential conflicts, right? Like if you're they don't want you to be, I mean, it's an attempt to prevent conflicts. I mean, I think.
Okay. We can't argue the law or debate back and forth, but I mean, I was a former commissioner before the Star Board. I worked DC government. I'm just trying to get understanding. So you're saying if someone is working and they're bettering themselves and they're establishing themselves, they can appoint people who work for the government, but a resident can't work for the government. It's not making sense to me. It's not making sense. I'm not going to debate about that right at this time. I'm just going to say I'm not in agreement with this resolution. I just wanted to weigh in on that.
I do want to be clear though, but the prohibition on working for the district is for everyone on the board, except for there is a carve out for existing commissioners who are also district employees. So I just want to be clear that this prohibition applies to everyone, not just resident commissioners, as we read it. But
And what's the carve out for?
There's a carve out
Is that
for
grandfathered or something?
for the transition for Commissioners Clay and Silla and Reed specifically while they are on the board. But once they are no longer on the board, there is a prohibition on any board members also being district employees.
No, what I'm asking is, and I appreciate the carve out because they're great commissioners. But what I'm asking is why that was a concession that was made. That was a decision that was made specifically for those commissioners.
No, it was just they're named as being part of the transition period. So as the new board is being established, that all the existing board members will serve 1, 2, or 3-year terms, and thereafter,
Right.
it's just, that's where the prohibition comes in.
I think there was an attempt to try to allow for a smooth transition of the boards, so you didn't have really, so you didn't have an abrupt change, so that we suddenly lose all commissioners when the Star Board goes away. And so I think that the city council created this transition language to allow for all of our current board members to continue on for some period of time until they were replaced by another appointment or election.
Okay, that makes absolute sense. My other question is, are we 100% sure that the council specifically meant that this rule, this law, should be wrapped into our resident commissioners?
I mean,
these are our residents who are in our program. They're residents. Most, they're living on the property or they're living near the property, and maybe participating in programs that they were urged to do, to, like we were just talking about, bettering themselves, and they are government positions. Have we reached out to them just to see, okay, do we have to include our resident commissioners with this provision? Have we done that?
We have not. I mean, we certainly can, but I mean, I will say that the language in the law does not create any carve-outs for any commissioners. So
yeah, can I just say, I feel like Amy, you're in a hard position here. I think you're being put in a hard position here because I think you should not have to be in the position of defending decisions that the council made, right? And that's sort of what's like. If folks don't like this, then they should go talk to Robert White's housing committee and get them to change the law. Like, that's a very reasonable position, and like, have at it. But I just don't, we can't really pile on our staff for like complying with the law that was given to us.
Can I just also add, I don't know if this helps or not, but one of the concerns also that I know is a broader concern is the appearance of the district government having a level of control over the housing authority. And so when you have district government employees who are on the board, then it can give an appearance that the district has a level of control over the housing authority. It's one of the reasons why my position is non-voting,
right,
is because it gives the appearance that we have, or the district has control. So I think that's one of the concerns regarding district employees. I would ask the federal government, is that also in the district law? Is that in the federal law?
That's the district law.
That's the district law. I would say, and I would recommend for people to talk to the council about changing it before the next election. I think the federal government might be viewed differently, but I know the district is in part so that we don't appear to be under control of the district.
So Commissioner Clay, thank you for making that point, because I just want to emphasize that the Housing Authority is an independent agency, independent of the district government. We want to make sure that we do everything to keep that status.
And I do recognize, and I do apologize if it feels a little bit like a pile on, but it might not be Council Member Robert White himself, but his staff do pay close attention to our board meetings and are listening to this. And so I think they also benefit from hearing and understanding, seeing how like all of these questions that come up, and we don't have reasonable answers or explanations for the thinking behind some of this. And so they have an opportunity to hear that it's not just the commissioners that are concerned, but the public is concerned, especially our resident representatives who are commissioners are concerned. So all around, I think they're hopefully hearing this and understanding that there needs to be a change.
Commissioner Burbridge, did you have any comments, concerns? She's still on?
She has not voted.
I'm here. I'm here.
Earlier.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
I think what I'm hearing and what the concern is when you say resident commissioners, the residents want to be a part of who's representing them. But also a lot of other things has to take place. You know, it's not just the presidents. When we think about the residents, we're talking about the residents at large, all of the residents that are part of DCHA. We have no voice. And that's what I keep hearing. We have no voice. When we spoke briefly about the RAD conversion, I was waiting for someone to say, well, one of the things you can do while you're waiting to hear what's going to happen is do like a myth buster fact sheet, because RAD for some people is fearful, you know, not just sit and wait until once you get the approval and you can move forward. You're putting people's lives in limbo. But what can we do as an agency so that the residents are not just a cash cow? That's what I'm hearing for this, because the way it has been is that the residents come, they have an election, they vote, and that person represents them. I understand everything, but I think we as an organization, as housing, needs to do more. We haven't had any listening sessions. We talk about it. What have we, and I thank you, Commissioner Blackston, for the Block to Block initiative. It's very powerful, but we need to get out, we need to hear, and we need to take the concerns of the residents and see how we can take what they want and what we can and cannot do. And if it means taking it to the Housing Committee, Robert Wright, his people, then let that be done. That's all I have to say.
And I have a comment too. You're welcome, Commissioner Burbridge. And thank you, Commissioner Clay, for clarifying a little more, making it understandable of what you're saying. But no one's piling on, but I think it's a right we have as commissioners to voice our opinion. That's for the entire board and anyone else that's listening. So it's not a pile on when we seem to have to ask for more indefinite information on what's being presented to us. If I don't understand it, I'm letting you know I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. I'm letting you know I don't agree with it. I talk to the residents on a daily basis. I have my listening sessions, which I call chat and chew. I hear the residents on so many different platforms. So when I say residents or resident leaders are representing the residents. That's their voice. So residents across the board. Amy, like I said, it's not a debate with you. It's in law. I'm not going to go back and forth about it. Like I said, I don't agree with it. And so just let the record reflect that. Thank you. And the chat and shoes are very well attended from residents. So I have many platforms that anyone want to come to present. I've invited anyone from DCHA across all divisions to come to the block by block or chat and chew to speak with residents directly. Thank you.
So I got a question. What are we doing? What are we trying to decide here today with this? I'm a little bit lost now.
We're just adopting the procedures for how the election is going to proceed, how the election will take place, and who's going to do what at what time, and then after the election will take place, and that person will become the resident commissioner on this board.
The first resident commissioner.
Yeah,
the first of.
Then we have to have a second election for a second commissioner.
And we're in agreement, or at least like when we're advancing this resolution, you are in agreement that going back to residents with the procedures after we have elected the first one to ensure we're in compliance as quickly as possible is something that you can do, that you will do.
We can certainly do that. We can, we can certainly.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, we can, and if you want, and I should also flag just, was a slight tweak to the resolution after it was posted, just to remove what I think we realized there was slightly confusing typo in it. I just want to flag it, but what was posted, but there was a reference to that December 31st date, and we just removed it from the resolution because it wasn't, it was, so.
It's passed.
Yeah, it's passed, yeah, but so I just did want to note that because it was referenced as sort of the effective date of the statute, which was not correct. So we did tweak that. So the resolution that we would be asking you to pass has that date deleted from it. So just.
All right, so let's move forward then.
Okay.
So Chair will entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2604 to adopt procedures for the election of resident commissioners.
Motion.
Motion is a second. 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 Thank you. Second. Okay, we have a roll call vote on resolution 2604.
Sure. Commissioner Ronnie Harris. Commissioner Ronnie Harris.
Keep going and come back to her.
Commissioner Blackson.
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Jim Dickerson.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosa Burbridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Chris Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Teresa Silla.
Yes.
Thank you. Chairman Raymond Skinner.
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution is approved.
Okay, and then last but certainly not least is resolution 2605 to authorize extension, approval, and publication of the DCHA administrative plan for our housing choice voucher program.
So we have two things. I know Commissioner Silla, had you wanted us to do the presentation on the revisions to the admin plan on some of the revisions, or just so I know we had done that with the committee. It is in the board's book. I know Anton is prepared to talk through some of those changes if you want, or we can focus on the resolution. I'm not sure how you wanted to do that.
So I think it's, from my perspective,
right.
It is really important to acknowledge that at least on the committee level, when with a resolution like this, it's really important for the committee members to get a sense of the comments that the Housing Authority made. I mean, the comments that the Housing Authority received, and then the determination about whether to integrate, incorporate, and address those comments or not. And that in the committee meeting time, that we have sufficient time to ask questions and better understand the reasoning behind the determinations that you made, and an opportunity to talk those through. We had asked for additional explanations and updates across a number of areas. We got the update, but we got the update today. Even though Commissioner Harris and I flagged these issues at our committee meeting on January 30th, right? So looking at and quickly glancing at the responses and your explanations, I don't know that I have additional questions or concerns that we need to talk through at this meeting. I do want to make sure I give Commissioner Harris an opportunity to reflect back on any outstanding questions or concerns that she might have. But when we are talking about communication, and communications in a timely manner to help inform decision-making, right? Because you are asking us to adopt this emergency ruling, and it'll go into effect as soon as we adopt it. I think it's absolutely critical and important that you circle back with the updates sooner rather than later, and that you give us an opportunity to say whether the updates sufficiently address our concerns or not. Like I said, quickly glancing at what you ultimately provisioned, at least my concerns and questions, I feel like there's enough information there that we don't need to hold up the emergency resolution to continue to drill down on those decisions. And then also because the way in which you're adopting these emergency provisions allow you to continue receiving comments, and we will have another opportunity to revisit both these comments if they don't work for us, as well as the additional comments you are getting. I am fine with us advancing this and with, voting yes to move forward. But we do need to be on the same page as when because we took a significant amount of time to really go through this. And it was, we delayed talking about a lot of topics and issues that are top of mind for me, for Commissioner Harris, to make sure we were on the same page about what was passing. So as we move forward, I will do a better job as acting chair to reach out and be like, hey, we're not getting the updates that we need to help us get to pass this without this kind of a conversation happening at the table, right? But we need to do a better job again around communication and making sure we have timely communication, especially when we are taking we're taking a significant amount of time to actually flag to you what our issue areas are and what gives us heartburn. So let me also just turn it over to Commissioner Harris, who was at that meeting and who spent a significant amount of time flagging what were significant concerns to her.
So, as Commissioner Silla said, we just got the update today, minutes, if I'm not mistaken, before. I've not looked at it, but Commissioner Silla, if you've taken a glance at it yourself, and we will have the opportunity, if needed, to come back and revisit some things, I'm okay with that, but I just had no time to kind of look at it. So I don't really have a say, but I don't want to hold up any progress as well if it's something that we can come back and revisit if need be.
So I see people nodding. So Amy, what we are looking for in your presentation is a verbal confirmation that we can come back to both the issue areas that were identified as part of this round of comments, as well as the new round of comments that you're going to be receiving. Especially because we got these so late and haven't really had an opportunity to digest whether these issues.
We can do, right. Okay. And we have discussed these in the committee before. I do want to say, we've discussed these issues, these specific issue areas, but I do acknowledge, I'm sorry that we had not realized that this wasn't uploaded. So yes. So we will do better about that as well. So yes, so the resolution, as you noted, just to be clear, what this resolution would do, is just to take a step back. In November of 2025, we have been in the emergency admin plan cycle for some time, since 2023. In November of 2025, we published on our website only, posted, I should say, on our website, a updated admin plan that included a number of changes. We received over 300 comments on that document, which we have been, going through very diligently, and, revising the admin plan as needed, based on those comments. What we are seeking board approval for at this point would be to publish and transmit to the DC Office of Documents an updated administrative plan for the voucher program that reflects changes from the November version, right? So, changes that incorporate a lot of the comments received, the ones that we accepted. And they would be asked to publish as emergency and proposed regs, so that once they publish, there will be, as Commissioner Silla noted, another round of public comments, which we would consider, come back to the committee and the board on, and then ultimately ask the board to adopt as final regs, the administrative plan. So that is the upshot. I will also say that if the board adopts this, we have a very long document, like I think it's 90 pages at this point, that summarizes every single comment that was received, and it responds to each of those, and that would be posted on our website along with the updated plan. So that would go, that would go up there. So if folks want to see, every single comment and every single response, that would be the place to see it. But I'm happy to answer questions, but that is the brief summary.
So what do we need to do here to move this forward? I can only process so much. And I'm wondering what we need to do to take the next step.
So my question is, when are we going to be done? We're going round and around. I mean, we can go back and forth with comments and responses to comments and get more comments and responses. When are we going to stop?
Well, I mean, this is like this would be the penultimate step, right? If we can transmit to Office of Docs, they publish the updated admin plan. Once it gets published, there's a final round of 30-day comments. And then we can, come back to the board and ask you to adopt them as final regs, and we are done.
Okay. I think maybe Amy, you're misunderstanding, or maybe I'm misunderstanding, but Commissioner Silla, the question was, will we have an opportunity to come back? So adopting it today, when it's time to vote on it after everything is done, we're not asking for public comment to go on and change. That's not what I'm asking. But I think you've answered the question in a roundabout way. So once it comes back to the board, after the commenting period, then we still will have to vote, right? Vote it in.
Yes.
By that time, I would have had more time, definitely, to look at whatever changes and updates were done. That's all I was asking.
Yeah.
You will. You're being asked to vote.
Okay, so the answer was yes. Yeah, I just.
Today.
And Ray, I feel like your comment, although I understand what underlies it, it sort of misses the bigger headline for me, which is why I'm going to vote present on this today, which is the staff can't ask us to approve something like this when we don't have the document for like at least 12 hours. Like, that's not too much to ask. So it's not that I want like lots of rounds more comment. It's just I want to know what I'm voting on. And I didn't have the opportunity to do that. And so I can't in good conscience vote yes for something that I don't know what I'm voting on. I'm not going to vote no, but I can't vote yes.
Even if we come back to visit it?
I haven't seen it. I am not in the habit of saying of voting yes on things I've never seen. It's just not, in my view, good procedure.
And I respect the fact that, Amy, I think you mentioned we've discussed this in the past. But here's the thing. Now it's written out and it's in black and white. And if we don't have an opportunity to look at it, it's hard to say, oh, yeah, I remember back in October,
exactly.
There's no way for us to do that. Now, we looked at some things, and me and Commissioner Silla had questions or revision suggestions, so for the rest of the board, we're not computers. I can't download all that data. Anything we discussed months ago and it gets put together and it's packaged up pretty and nice, we need to see it and be able to make our suggestions. I mean, you guys have to do what you need to do as best. We just want to know, what we're voting on first. And I didn't have time. I don't have time to look at anything that comes to me same day as any meeting. So I will say that.
Same.
And let me chime in too, commissioners. First of all, forgive us, all right? Because I'm a little annoyed at this too. Just so you know, I've heard the communication piece. It sounds like it's across the board, and I need to do a better job with my staff. So I know I don't have a vote, but I'm kind of annoyed that you got it today too. Because that doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm just being honest right now. So I'm frustrated too, guys. And I apologize if my team didn't do what they're supposed to do to get it to you in a timely manner to make you feel comfortable. But I had to say that for the record.
Okay, then what? Then what's next?
So if it gets voted on now, then there's 30 days, comes back. When it comes back, if we decided we wanted to change something, then does that mean it would have to go through another 30 days?
it would sort of depend what it was. If it was something that was in the document and it would sort of depend. It would depend. But I mean, if it's something that was commented on and we were just changing something based on the comments, then no, probably wouldn't need to. If you said, yeah, we just really don't like half of this document, we want something totally new, then we'd be back in something, then we'd be back
Well,
in.
how are we gonna avoid that? I mean, we're trying to, we're gonna just wait, do it, wait and read it and then get back. You're gonna get back to us in 30 days. And what are we gonna do here to get this thing done? Is what I'm trying to hear and say.
So I think to Clay's question, at least the committee that's looking closely at this is not talking about unpacking things that are beyond the scope of the comments that have been received and have not been and have been addressed in a way that we are trying to understand better. Okay. At least from like, and Commissioner Harris, jump in and correct me if I am misspeaking from your perspective. But the conversations we are having at the committee level is better understanding what the housing authority accepted or rejected. And if it is an area where they rejected something that we have been struggling with and that we have been trying to flag, we are unpacking that area to better understand the logic behind the rejection. And for the most part, what I'm seeing is that the staff's explanation and the alternative procedures or policies that are in place seem to cover and track with the concerns that we are expressing. But the communication around that is, at least from the perspective of someone like Commissioner Murphy, for example, he never even had the advantage of looking at that table that summarized what the comments were and what the authorities' responses were. So he never had an opportunity to think about what is different about this document based on the public comments received. At least that's what I hear him saying.
Yes.
And what I hear Commissioner Harris and myself saying is, you did a great job. Well, Commissioner Harris is saying, I didn't have time. I'm not going to have time to look at any updates that you give me day of. That's not fair. And I'm saying, based on my cursory look, I like and understand what you are saying and how you have addressed it. But I'm uncomfortable moving forward unless you confirm to me that we have another bite at the apple to really address the comments that we have received and to make sure I'm totally understanding and bought in. And they're saying, yes, you will have another chance.
But anything that could come out of that discussion more than likely would not generate another 30 days.
I don't think so, but
I mean, I don't think so, but it could. I mean, I guess
that we decide to change.
Because we don't know what public comments we're going to continue to receive as well, right?
Yeah.
Because there will be another tranche of public comments that we will have to have this conversation about, and that hopefully the authority will communicate better.
Right. I will be honest that like the public comments that we have been receiving are very similar that we have received since 2023. We have engaged in extensive discussions with advocates and others since the initial admin plan was put out in 2023. And some of the comments are repetitive to the extent that, unfortunately, there's some things that others would like us to do that we feel are not appropriate for the housing authority to do. And it just is, they keep saying their comment, we keep saying no, and that's and explaining why. And
Amy, let me ask a question. The real question: does it have to go today?
I mean, if you all want to defer it till next,
let me ask another.
Is it going to expire? Wait, where are you tracking the expiration date?
Well, yes, I had that question.
No, I think the admin plan doesn't expire. We just extended the admin plan in December. And so I believe the expiration date is sometime in April. If I'm looking at Hammer, I know you're better, you track that better than me. I know you're our tracker. I believe it does not. I mean, I think if folks want to wait another month, we can do that.
So let me clarify one thing. So what are we operating under now? What is in effect right now? Is
emergency regs. We're under emergency and proposed regs. We're under effectively the 2023 version of the admin plan that we've tweaked a little bit over time, but not. but just not the new,
So,
the new,
all of the changes that we're talking about now,
just none of them
not
would
in
be
effect.
Right,
Right.
none of them would be in
All right.
effect. So we would just wait. And we do apologize for the confusion because
Okay.
there was just some.
So again, my recommendation is we move forward, get this adopted, and then we'll come back and have another round of comments, once this is published. And the other thing, we had a HUD procedure that we had to do, right? There was a HUD comment period. We did that.
That was the November period. That was really the HUD public comment period. So what would be happening if the board wanted to approve this today is we would then be sort of, once the Office of Docs publishes this document, then what I'll call sort of the DC public comment period would then ensue for 30 days. And frankly, it's longer than 30 days because it takes them a while to publish. So it doesn't happen instantaneously. They've got a lot on their plate.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend that we move forward and at least take a vote on this resolution now. So can I get a motion to approve resolution 2605?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a roll call vote.
Commissioner Silla,
Abstain.
Commissioner Murphy.
Can you please put me down as present?
Sure will. Commissioner Harris.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to go with present as well.
Okay. Commissioner Dickerson.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Blackson.
Abstain.
Commissioner Burbridge. And Chairman Skinner.
Yes.
The resolution does not pass.
Oh,
Did
Commissioner Clay.
Clay does not vote in this form. And Burbridge did not respond.
Okay. Okay, so the resolution is not passed.
That's correct.
Okay. In the interest of time, Commissioner Silla, can we ask that you defer your additional committee report? Okay.
Yes.
So we still have Commissioner Blackson, the Resident Services Committee.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again.
Okay, at our last meeting, which was in January, we had the opportunity to have the Office of Resident Services, who always gives us an update on all that's happening with the Office of Resident Service. But our biggest concern was public safety. So we had the public safety team and some of their partners, I want to say contracting security company that was there. And we discussed some of the improvements they'll be making with the contractors, because the residents have been complaining across the multiple properties about public safety. They don't feel safe. So some of the updated things that they'll be working on is the substations among many of the properties. The private companies will encourage their officers to stay off cell phones and things of that nature. I'm not going to go into all the details. And also encourage residents to call 911 versus trying to contact me or DCHA staff when they have an emergency. DCHA Police Department is not as big as MPD. Of course, that's the main police company for DC. So those were some of the things that we discussed and was looking into at the Committee on Resident Services. And we will be following up with them at the next committee meeting so we can have more time to discuss. But we had leaders on that call, Commissioner Silla and some of DCHA staff. It was a very good committee meeting. Commissioner Silla, did you have anything you want to add or share?
No, thank you for that update and for the meeting as well.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Blackson. Okay, next on the agenda is Commissioner's Time. So I just want to take a minute to thank and congratulate Keith and the staff for putting together the 2024-25 impact report. If you haven't seen this yet, I'm not sure how it's been distributed. I know commissioners should have it, and hopefully staff and residents.
It's coming through the mail. I got mine in the mail.
Yes, yeah, it was mailed to the commissioners. But so when Director Pettigrew came, he said it's going to take 3 years to kind of turn things around, and he did a 3-year recovery plan. And we're moving into year 3 of that recovery plan. But this impact report sort of summarizes the first 2 years of the recovery plan, and has a lot of good information about the progress that has been made in the department since Director Pettigrew has come and his team have come on board. So this, I believe, is actually posted on our website. Is that, does anyone know? Is that correct?
It's on the website.
It is posted on the website. So for those of you out there in the public, you can go to our website and see the impact report. We can kind of summarize the progress that we've made over the last 2 years.
That's very well done. That's a very, very well done document.
Okay, commissioners have any other comments?
Yes, I want to read a email that I received from a HCVP client. Just want to put it on the record that it's received. She asked if I can read it. Her name is Sheena McGill. She's here today about a critical issue affecting many of the residents. Despite multiple attempts to contact my housing worker, I've been met with silence. This isn't just about me, it's about the disconnect between workers and residents. Workers are the heartbeat of housing contacts, but without accountability, issues persist, vouchers are delayed, paperwork is stuck, and residents suffer. We need workers to be responsive and accountable. I've tried emailing, calling, and even contacting the call center, but nothing seems to work. What if I had an emergency? This can't continue. We need change. Since November, there has been no response. I urge you to take action and demand better communication from housing workers. Let's work together to create a system that supports residents, not frustrate them. Thank you, Sheena McGill.
Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're
Yeah, so it's apropos of what we've heard a lot today in terms of communication and responsiveness. And, Director Pettigrew has been listening, and he chimed in a few minutes ago saying, expressing some of his concerns. So are there any other comments from commissioners? So with that, the next board meeting will be on Wednesday, March 11th, 2026, and that will be at 1 p.m. And it's going to be available on Zoom. Information regarding viewing or participating in the meeting can be found at our website, www.dchousing.org. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Is a second? All in favor? Aye. With that,
Aye.
the meeting is adjourned at 3:49 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.